Welcome back, everybody, to my thoughts from Tumortown. Bruce here with you again. And today I just want to go over an episode during our childhood life that was pretty bizarre. The YMCA organized a 30-day bus trip around the United States, so a school bus. And 30 kids, a couple of counselors, and we would roll around the United States excuse me, stop at, great sites, the Badlands, Glacier Lake, that sort of thing. And so the Treehouse Gang, all except for Tom, all got on this trip where our parents put us on it and we went and there you did it. And, initially you thought it was kind of fun, but, you pulled out your four-man, Boy Scout tent every night, set it up, rolled out your air mattress, the whole deal, blah, blah, blah. But, of course, we quickly realized that this was going to be a grind because the only food they were really providing us on a daily basis was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Kool-Aid. And, of course, that gets pretty old pretty fast. No, rarely were you allowed to stop at a fast food place and get a burger something like that. That was like, oh, no, no, no. And this turned out to be kind of like one of those, tours of Europe sort of thing, bus tours, where you drive for a while, you stop, everybody gets out, you walk around whatever, location you're at for, a couple hours, la da 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 da, back on the bus, roll over to your next campground, da da da. Occasionally you were in the same spot for a day where you could actually spend some time and do something, maybe a day and a half. I think we spent at Yellowstone, but for the most part, it was pretty monotonous after a while. But, certain things, everybody kind of broke into their little groups. You had the nerd group, you had the greaser group, you had the surfer hippie group, you had the jock group, you know. So, but nobody got on anybody's case. It was a very peaceful, non-aggressive 30-day trip. Nobody really hassled anybody else. We all, just did our own thing. But it became a problem at one point because we came to a place where they were going to have everybody get on horses, and do a little like horse ride out through the, whatever. And there was one kid in the nerd group who was absolutely scared to death of horses. I mean, scared to death. And he was like pleading, please, do not make me do this. Just leave me here, leave me here. And all of us were like, yeah, don't make him do it, let him stay here. No reason he has to go do this if he doesn't want to. But the counselors insisted. And, there we are. They had him at the back of the line. We all start trotting off with our horses. And it didn't take, 5 minutes? And before his horse bolts on him, just takes off. His arms are flailing. He's just trying to hang on to that horse for his dear life, screaming his head off. The leader guys go chasing after him, grab the horse, settle it down. He's crying his eyes out. He's just freaked out beyond all belief. And of course, they make the decision, well, okay, we'll take him back to the barn and let him stay there while the rest of you go on. And we were all like, why didn't you just do that in the first place? I mean, it was just one of those things I will never forget of, forcing some poor kid to do something that he didn't want to do that I'm sure haunted him his entire life in one way or another. He never forgot that, I am quite sure. In any case, we all got pretty bored as time went on, so people would play tricks on folks. And my guys, of course, knew that I have a kind of a claustrophobic sense. You pin me in and I can go kind of freaky. And given a school bus, when you're traveling 4 hours, 5 hours on the school bus, you're not going to sit in that chair, So, pardon me, the cancer, I just keep coughing. I apologize. So, a lot of times one person would lay on the floor between, the two chairs, and the other person would lay on the chair. And when I would lay on the floor, I would try, guys, do not screw with me. Please do not mess with me. And most of the time they were okay about it, but they would always get a burr in their butt, and they would throw stuff on me, or they would throw themselves on me and pin me down between these two chairs. And I would go ballistic. I would absolutely freak out. It was like the Hulk. Bam! I would throw people 6 feet. Didn't matter. I was getting out of that situation no matter what. Now, they all, of course, thought this was extremely funny. I, of course, never did. But, to this very day, if you ask any of them and say, who is Sandwich Man? They will say, oh, that's him, that's him. Sandwich Man, that's Bruce. And that's just the way they did it. And to this day, they know that name. And for, being like, a guy stuck between two pieces of bread. I'm the Sandwich Man. So they, I was always very leery when I was the one who had to lay between the two chairs. And there was a night during the trip when we had passed a convenience store, and we were in Colorado. So we knew we could get Coors beer, because you could buy it because it was a lighter alcohol, whatever, So Randy and Bruce decided they were going to go down and find this place, and they were going to get some beer. And so they took off, and, story goes, you have to ask them direct, but as I recall, they ended up going through, woods, a cemetery, a big open field, all this crap to get to this place. It was an arduous journey. They finally get to the place. They find a guy. They convince him to get him a 6-pack. And then they actually make the journey back without drinking a single beer. Now that's something. And they show up, pull into the tent. Look, guys, we got a 6-pack of beer. And I tell you, that was a night we really remembered and enjoyed. Because that was our very first taste of Coors beer. And we all had one. And a little bit of a second. And just enjoyed that. Oh, that was such a break in the monotony of that trip. It was just wonderful. Now, I say monotony, we got to see some great sights of America. Don't get me wrong. In that sense, we got to do what we wanted to do. But it was monotonous. It got to a point at one time that Ricky stuck a potato in the muffler of the bus. He was just, he'd had it. And of course they get up, can't start the bus. Oh, this is a problem. So, who did it? Confess. If you don't confess, then everybody's going to pay the price. And we're going to skip our next, stop at a fast food place. But the weird thing was, the whole group held unity. Not one person tried to point anybody out or cry foul or anything. We all stuck to it. We all dealt with it. And that was the way it went. And that was interesting, I thought, for the group, and good to Ricky to let his steam out, and screw with him in that way. The other thing was, I think we were in Yellowstone. There was, areas where it was like some pretty big hills with rocks and stuff. And me and Bruce, when left to our own devices and board, can do some pretty stupid stuff and get kind of crazy. And there was this rock, boulder you might even call it. It was pretty big, embedded in the hillside, but it was, only buried in the bottom. And we kept thinking, oh, this would be cool if we could get this out and watch it roll down the hill. So we kept working at it, because we had nothing better to do, right? So we charred at it, and finally, we got it ready. Oh my gosh, we were going to be able to do this. We tipped it over, and man, that thing, when it went down that hill, you saw those plants, all the little tree saplings just separate, whack, as it just wham, made this path right through all of that until it hit the bottom of the hill, which was like a ravine, and embedded itself into a tree. Wham! And that was loud. The whack was really loud. And we were like, wow, That was just intense, Never thinking in our minds that we could have killed somebody. Never occurred to us. We were young. We were stupid. You know, it wasn't until we started following the path and saw the amount of the damage that was done going down and heard people, what was that? What was that? Freaking out about the noise and the whole deal, that it dawned on us what we had just done. Now fortunately, nobody got injured, just some bushes. So that was all cool. But we certainly, by the time we got down to the bottom and saw that thing just splattered into that tree, we knew that really wasn't the wisest thing to do. But we enjoyed doing it all the same, and we still remember it to this very day. One of the bad things I remember is, of course, in our surfing days, we used to go in and shoplift, honey buns and stuff for the surfing boys. We didn't think twice about it. We didn't really realize that wasn't a cool thing to do. And I was there at the gift shop at the Yellowstone. It was raining. I had my big parka on, and I was wandering the store, and I shoplifted. I took like a wooden chess set. I don't even play chess, and a couple other things. And I remember getting back to the tent and putting the stuff out on my little, bed, and going, why did I do this? What the heck was I thinking? I got no need for this stuff. I don't want any of this stuff. That was really stupid of me to do that. And that was the last time, as a matter of fact, that I ever shoplifted in my entire life. That was it. So at least that came out of it. Now, the final night, we were up in like Panama City somewhere, I think, in Florida, and it rained all night. We set up the tents in rain. We slept in the rain. I mean, by morning time, everyone was floating on their air mattresses in their tents and trying to stay as dry as they could. It was simply awful. So by the time we got back home to Central Florida and got off the bus, to see our parents, we looked like hell. I mean, we were ragged, wet, dirty. It was just terrible. They must have thought we'd been in some sort of war zone and just been released, because it was really, really nasty. But I'll tell you what, we were all so darn glad to be home. Now, I say that knowing that it was a trip we would all do again, because it was very nice, educational, fun. We learned a lot. It was an experience that I would not want to have. Let's put it that way. And our parents, I think, would do it because, hell, getting rid of us for 30 days was a blessing. So, but, could it have been arranged better and done better by the YMCA? Absolutely. But in any case, that was a very fun trip that we all did, and a very interesting time in the life. So I just wanted to to post that up here in case anybody cared to hear about some of it. You can check with the other boys from the Treehouse Gang, and I'm sure they can tell you more about the stories from that wonderful, wonderful trip. All right, we will catch up with you all later. Peace and hang 10.